What is cracking, collectors? Collector Tyrant here again today, and today is a Sunday session. I have found some old footage on the internet, some really old footage of a 60-minute segment from Australia, not America. It's an Australian version of this segment. Now they're talking about the Pokemon craze back in 1999, and this is when Pokemon was just fresh off the boat here in Australia. If you're a young fan of Pokemon, you might find this interesting, knowing what it was like to be a part of that craze back in the day when every man and his dog was literally into this stuff. And if you're an old fan, you might find this nostalgic. So if you want to stick around and see what I have to say about this sort of reaction video, about this news segment, as I said, just relax and let me take you through the journey. We're going back in time, babies. Woo! Alright guys, before we get into this, obviously I have a shout out to give out. Alright guys, so the shout out today is a requested shout out, and that is from Hoopin' Homecage. If you want to do me a favour and do this guy a favour too, go check this guy out, give him some love, like his videos or do whatever you want to do. Subscribe, I suggest doing that. Help the guy out. You know, being a YouTube creator is sometimes a lot harder than what people think it is. You know, you bust your nuts. So I like to help as many people out as possible on my channel especially, because I know how hard it is making videos and trying to do the grind, etc. So give him some love. And also, if you guys want shout outs on my Sunday sessions, let me know in these videos in the comments and I'll do it for you guys. I'll shout yous out and then all that jazz, and we can, you know, get through it. So that's my shout out of the week. It was requested from Hoopin' Homecage. I think that's how you say it. So enjoy your shout out, man. I hope you do. Let me know in the comments if you've seen it. Alright guys, I actually have another shout out to give out. So that is to Shuttle Bunny. So same rules apply, guys. Go check both these out. I'll leave the links in the description. This guy's channel is really good also, so help him out, guys. Help him out. As I said, links will be in the description below, and hopefully both of you guys enjoy your shoutouts. Alright guys, before we get into this reaction video of this news segment, I just want to talk about a bit about what Pokemon was like for myself when it first ever came into existence, when it first got thrown into our laps as children, even adults. There's quite a few adults that were into this craze as well. The Pokemon craze is crazy. It's like, it was a once in a lifetime thing, I think. I don't think Pokemon would ever be as big as it was when it first hit Western shores in the 90s. Alright, so I want to talk about some things here. When I first ever saw Pokemon, the animation, alright, so let's talk about that for a second. The first ever time I saw Pokemon, alright? I woke up every morning. I woke up religiously every morning to see this cartoon segment show. It was like sort of like they had gags in between the cartoons with these two epic people called Jade and Ryan. I'll show you some footage by talking. These two legends here, kids every morning would wake up and see these two guys on the TV, and then they'd show epic cartoons every morning. Now, I don't know if you guys remember anime called Samurai Pizza Cats. Now, I'm going to go through this, kind of funny. I was probably 8 or 7 years old. I can't even remember how old I was back then. But funny enough, to a young kid, years go a lot slower than what they do as an adult. So 4 years ago would have seemed like an eternity, and I would have forgotten a lot of things back then. Now, back in the days when I was probably 5 or 4, I can't remember the exact time, this Samurai Pizza Cats used to come on the TV show. Now, you're probably wondering where I'm going with this, but when Pokemon first opened up, the first intro, that little intro with that famous music that everyone's talking about, I'll be showing footage in the background. Something clicked in my head, like a bit of, I don't know, it's like something embedded in my brain was like, this is Samurai Pizza Cats. It looks like Samurai Pizza Cats. That's the first thing I thought when I saw this. I was like, oh cool, Samurai Pizza Cats is back on. Oh, how wrong I was. It was totally not what I was expecting. And then I started seeing the Pokeballs and Pikachu and like the Spearow attacking Ash and all this other going on. And I was just like, what is this? What is this new TV show? And I went to school and every kid was talking about it. It was a big thing to talk about, guys. Everyone was talking about it. Now, over the coming months, they started dropping the Pokemon games, Red and Blue. And then the trading cards, guys. The trading cards were the big thing. Like, once they dropped, everyone was massive on these Pokemon cards. Like, you have no idea. Obviously, Pokemon cards were cheaper than the games, so more people were inclined to buy the Pokemon cards. But, man, I could tell you some stories. I'm going to... Funny enough, I've already mentioned this in my first ever video I ever made when I first opened up a bunch of evolution packs and I had no idea what I was doing. It was my first ever YouTube video. I advise people not to check it out. It's actually pretty awful. It goes a lot slower than my usual stuff. But anyway, I'm going off track here. Now, one day this guy that was older than me, grade 7 I think, I can't remember, but he brought this massive binder to school. We knew what Pokemon was, but we had no idea what these cards were. These were a whole new thing. This is like the next phase in the Pokemon marketing, I guess. And this guy had a whole binder of cards, like literally had nearly every single card of the base set. Anyway, all the kids were crazy. He had like at least 20 kids around him, and we're like, oh, look, Pokemon cards. And I was like, I actually got a bit of alone time with the guy, and I said, dude, I'll give you my lunch money if I can buy one of your cards with you, because I just wanted one so bad. And he ended up giving me a Nidoran card. He gave me a Nidoran, that crappy Nidoran card. And then I took that home, and I was like looking at it. I was like, oh, look at this. It's like, and my old man was walking past, and he saw what I had in my hands. He goes, what's that in your hand, man? Like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's a Pokemon card. And he's looking at me like, what the f is this guy talking about? Like, what is my son looking at, and what is this? So funny enough, he actually doesn't remember this, because I had this conversation with him. But anyway, a few weeks later, he actually surprised us. Me and my brother, he bought a bunch of Pokemon cards, like the starter decks and everything you could think of, like a bunch of booster packs, and we opened up these cards. And me and my brother both pulled holographic Zapdos, and he pulled Alakazam, I pulled Gyarados, and I think we had a few other ones there as well. And this is before the jungle sets and stuff like that came out too. This is just when it hit the shores, guys. Like, it was crazy times. Alright guys, so it doesn't stop there. Now, my brother used to do swimming training, and every Thursday night would be sort of like a carnival night where the kids would swim against each other. And literally, I'll show you right now on Google Maps, I'll film it, and I'll show you guys. I literally lived across the road from the pool back in the day. When I was a little kid, I'll show you my hometown, and I'll show you on Google Maps where my old house was. And the pool, what I'm talking about, this carnival thing that happened every Thursday. And we'd go there, and when Pokemon was just like peaking, like it was it's ridiculous. Every person had cards that had linked trading and playing each other on battles and stuff like that on Game Boy. And I'm not lying, and people that weren't swimming were literally trading their cards, and then they get called up to go swim, and then that's what I mean, like everyone had their Pokemon cards. It was literally the most craziest thing you could ever think of. Every kid, even teenagers, were into this stuff, like 18-year-olds I'm talking. And man, like, it was the best times of my life, like when it comes to like, it's just crazy, it really was. It was something out of this world. It's very nostalgic thinking about it. That's nearly 20 years ago now, and I'm sort of like a young adult, and it's just a crazy time in my life that I'm glad I was a part of. And anyway, I've been talking too much about this. We're going to be looking at this segment now, and this is really interesting, guys. I really do like this segment. It brought back tons of memories for me, because I remember seeing this when I was at my dad's house, and we were watching 60 Minutes. But anyway, we're going to watch this, and I'm going to talk about it. And yeah, so this is my reaction video to this, so let's get started.
Craze and has become a global marketing phenomenon. Pokemon has captured the imagination of children around the world, and billions of dollars from their parents' wallets. It's now so pervasive, schools have banned Pokemon in the playgrounds.
Alright guys, so we're going to pause it there for a second. This is actually pretty true, because a lot of schools were banning these Pokemon cards from the grounds and stuff like that. Especially my school, because I went to a Catholic school, and like, the teachers thought this was like satanic shit. I'm not even lying. Like, they literally thought this was an evil entity, you know, that kids were buying into, and it was just some of the things they said about. I'm not against religion or anything like that, but some of the things some of the teachers were saying were just ridiculous.
But while adults might be mystified, might tut about unhealthy obsessions and manipulation, there's no escaping Pokemon, the biggest thing for kids since Mickey Mouse.
Charizard's gonna smash it.
I will travel across the land, searching for and wide. It's Pokemon to understand the power that's inside.
Look in almost any Australian backyard and you'll see our kids have been captured by monsters.
Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur, Squirtle, Wartortle, Blastoise, Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, Pikachu, Raichu.
Sundays in the park have become open-air markets for Pokemon trading cards.
Pikachu, Raichu, Sandshrew, Sandslash.
I'm pretty sure that kid just said BluChu. Now, BluChu and PikaBlu, we all know what goes on behind that. If you haven't heard about that, it was sort of like a thing that was... It was almost a leak back in the day that everyone saw on these old websites, right? And it was the second generation. No one had any idea this was happening in Australia. And at the time, Japan had it released a year earlier than what we did, because they didn't know how successful the next games were going to be in a Western world like America and stuff like that. So there was all these rumors going around, and everyone was talking about BluChu or PikaBlu. I remember both those names coming up, BluChu or PikaBlu. And a lot of people are having rumors that this is a special Pokemon you found in Pokemon Yellow, Red, and Blue. And there's just all these ridiculous methods of how to catch this Pokemon and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just word of mouth back in those days, guys. There was no internet to go check this stuff. So That's what I'm trying to say. It was pretty crazy. So I'm pretty sure this kid said that. I thought I'd bring it up because it's a pretty funny time when it was just a leak of Maril and everyone thought it was something new. But anyway, we're going to continue on with this.
It's happening all over the world. Kids are in a new fantasy universe and speaking a new language.
Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur, Charmeleon, Charizard, Squirtle, Wordle, Blastoise.
The greatest secret is kids get it and adults don't. So therefore, by ownership, when youngsters of 5, 6, 7 start talking their language, Pokemon language, initially parents do not understand it and they take a little while to get onto it.
And boys and girls, mums and dads, are you ready for Pikachu?
Pikachu, monster number 25 out of 151, is by far the most popular.
Well, hi once again, everybody, and welcome. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Pikachu. Let's give him a big cheer and a big round of applause.
Does anyone think it's super funny that Pikachu was like an obese little rat back in the day? Like every photo you saw of Pikachu, I'm talking about the base set Pikachu, like Pikachu in the anime, any photo of Pikachu back in the late 90s was fat. He was a fat little rat.
Look at him. Hey, fatty bum bum, hey, fatty bum bum.
I just find that funny, I really do. And I'm pretty sure they changed the design because it was marketing a bad influence, I guess. I think that was actually a thing, that Pikachu was just too fat. That's what I mean. They made him more streamlined after that, you know? I don't know, it's ridiculous stuff.
He is well fat though, isn't he?
Almost wherever you look, Pokemon is there. Video games, trading cards,
I will be a Pokemon master.
TV cartoons and a movie, and hundreds, yes, hundreds of licensed Pokemon branded playthings.
How crazy is this though? Like, they're dropping products from planes off to children like it's World War II. Like, they're dropping off cargo drops and stuff. It's insane. Does this stuff even happen anymore? Like, does this stuff even happen? Like, I have no idea. Like, someone let me know in the comments. Like, I have no idea if this still goes on.
Fred Gaffney holds some of those lucrative licenses in Australia.
It's enormous, isn't it?
It really is. Over the years, great crazes have come every 5 years, but this new craze, Pokemon, works on about 8 different platforms, and it's the kids that discover the idea, a bit like Coca-Cola yo-yos or marbles.
Yes, yo-yos and marbles. They were sort of like the fidget spinners of the 90s, guys. They weren't, you know, they were just...
And once they take ownership, passionate ownership of an idea, it's almost unstoppable.
In Tokyo, some 6 years ago, Satoshi Tajiri combined his passion for insect collecting with a passion for computers to create a video game. He sold it to Nintendo. Nintendo has just launched...
Look at these two little dudes right here, losing their mind over the new Pokemon products that are coming out. What a time to live in, guys. It was crazy back in those days. It really was. Like, kids were obsessed with Pokemon. It was crazy.
To the trade its Pokemon range for next Christmas at the New York Toy Fair. It's here we got a glimpse of what we'll be forking out for when the goodies hit Australia.
Today, there's no denying that we all live in a Pokemon world. And let me be the first one to break the bad news to you parents out there. It's not going away. It's just going to get bigger and better.
Nintendo's American Vice President, Gail Tilden, gets much of the credit for westernizing this Japanese concept.
Some of them had very Japanese-sounding names. For Shigidane, we changed to Bulbasaur. It's a reptilian character with a flower bulb on its back.
Oh, it's so cute. It's the best of all.
We did actually work on a strategy that said, hey, let's get the TV show out a couple weeks in front of the game, followed by the game, and then all of the rest of the licensing.
That's pretty true, though. I first saw the show, as I said before, I saw the show first, the games dropped, and then the cards dropped. So you got to think about that. It was a massive marketing strategy back in the day. It's still a massive marketing strategy now when you think about it, and even more so back in those days, I think. It's pretty crazy how they do that. It's pretty smart how they market this stuff to kids and people in general.
Toy marketing is as cool and calculated as that, is it?
As far as being calculated, we just knew that we had something that kids would love as long as we could make sure that we could get it the right exposure to them.
Come with me if the time is right.
And it worked. Pokemon swept America just as it had Japan. Then came Australia, and more recently, Europe.
It's always been a dream.
What is this section of the toy industry worth now?
We think that at this point we're up to about $7 billion total, and we expect the year 2000 will probably be the biggest year for the franchise ever because of it being so global.
So what's a guess for how much you'll sell this year?
Maybe 3 to 5 billion.
And it's not as if there's no competition. New York's Toy Fair showed...
Yeah, I remember those things, those weird balls that expanded in and out. I used to get my brother's head and put it inside and just, crush his head with it. Like, I used to pick on him so much for those things.
us just what a crowded market it is. Robots are very much in this year.
This is another example of the robotics invention system.
Even Lego has gone digital with a robot that paints. It'd be great on the bedroom carpet.
It will be, but only if we can create the robot that cleans up after it.
And this from Sony.
I mean, he's programmed to actually grow up.
I totally forgot those things existed, guys. It was crazy seeing that again. Alright guys, we're going to skip ahead a bit because it kind of gets a bit boring around here. So I'm just going to skip ahead.
It costs hundreds to become a full Pokemon household. A Game Boy costs $130. And then it's $50 for each game. The trading cards cost between $5 and $18 a pack. Branded toys range up to $60.
Okay, so that's pretty crazy. Like, look at the prices there. It's $50 for Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. There's $130 for a Game Boy Color. Now, if we compare that to prices now, I'll show you some photos here, but, you can pick up a 3DS for, like, just over $200, and you can pick up the games for $69. So it's only $20 more, so it's not much difference, really, when I think about it. It's been going up like $1 a year, I guess, since the 90s. And also with the Pokemon cards, too. They're $7 here in Australia if you buy them from retail, but back in those days, they're $5. So not much difference, really. There's only $2 difference, so...
And all that money comes from the pockets of parents of kids like these.
Morning school.
Like most schools in Australia and America, the Southport School on Queensland's Gold Coast is now a Pokemon-free zone.
We do not bring Pokemon cards to school.
Now this guy here is the typical type of ass hat principal that ruined everyone's fun back in these days. They're the ones that were talking about banning Pokemon cards on assembly and how much trouble you would be in if you get caught trading these things or playing the games at school. I can sort of understand where they're going with this now as an adult, but back then principals were absolute dick.
Remember that, please, fellas, because if you do, they will be taken and given back to you at the end of the day to take home, not to reappear.
Nintendo's looking to reach half.
Teacher Kay Hasty says the trading card obsession here was getting out of control.
But the thing that I do have a bit of a worry about is when I see little children, especially ones that are sort of 6, 7, 8, who become really compulsive, that they feel they just have to have more cards and they have to have more than anyone else. I'm really concerned that people come to school wanting to take advantage of their friends rather than wanting to work with their friends.
A kid outside playing. It's almost like seeing a unicorn these days. Well, not really, I'm just joking.
Debbie Buckley's 9-year-old son, Stuart, was so obsessed with collecting, he fell victim to a kiddie con artist.
He swapped 3 Game Boy games, which have a value of about $150, for 1 Pokemon card.
3 Game Boy games for 1 card. I mean, if it was a Charizard card, I could sort of understand that. Getting that card as a kid, the Charizard card, or any sort of rare holographic that you wanted, it had so much power over you. You'd trade anything to get it. You would literally trade and go to any length to get that card of your favorite Pokemon or the Charizard card. It was crazy. Like, these things had so much power over you as a kid. It was ridiculous.
And I actually felt that that was, a fairly dangerous precedent. I could see the warning bells.
How did you break him out of it?
Well, I found the only way to do it with Stuart was to actually take the cards away from him.
Who's to blame here? Who bought the cards in the first place?
Oh, look, I mean, I don't know how these things come up. I mean, yes, certainly...
Who bought the first ones?
Oh, certainly Mum, you know, innocently bought a pack of 12. Yes, look, we all get sucked in, I suppose, duped by the ads and the television shows.
And it's not difficult to be sucked in, because Nintendo intentionally feeds children's obsession with the trading cards. Of the 151 cards, 16 are designated rare because Nintendo makes them that way.
Can we just take the time to like notice how much of a gold mine is in this footage right now? Like, can you imagine working there and like, I wouldn't be able to work there. I'd be stealing every card I could. I'd be taking all the shits home and selling them on eBay and stuff. Like some of the, like, can you imagine just working there and thinking ahead in time of how much some of these cards would be worth mint condition? Like you would just, nothing would leave the factory. Everyone would be just pocketing these things.
You never know how many rare cards are in a sealed pack until you've bought it. So the more you buy, the greater the chance of getting one. You intentionally make some cards scarce. Now,
well, that's...
you're manipulating the market.
No, I don't think so. I think that's a reflection of the concept of the game. It is all about collecting, and the very nature of collecting means that some Pokemon that you collect are going to be, by their very nature, harder to collect than others.
Gavin Bust is Nintendo's Australian marketing director. Because you make some cards scarce, I've got to buy more and more if I'm to be sure of getting those scarce ones.
Or make more trades.
That's it though. It's a trading card game, and back in the day, it was actually easy to trade. It really was easy to go find a kid or someone who had Pokemon cards. They'd almost be flashing them sort of drug dealer or something. Like you'd be like, oh, that guy's got Pokemon cards. We're going to trade with this guy over here. Come on, let's sneak over. And then all of a sudden the cards would come out and like, okay, I want that one. What do you want to trade for it? It was so much easier to like literally find someone to trade the cards with in a playground or at school or whatever, than to ask your parents, oh, can you buy me a couple of boosters? And that's what I mean. It was actually, they're making out like it's an evil thing. And as you can see with the footage there, they sort of contradict themselves because there's tons of kids trading their cards in the footage that they're using. And that happened back in the day. It was so easy to do it. It just goes to show you how much the media is just a bunch of dickheads, really.
It's going to be easy to spend the money, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe the kids find it easier to trade.
There is an element of manipulation, though, on your part?
No, I don't think so, no.
I think children are being exploited from those people who invented Pokemon because the card game, all right, it went very good.
How come?
It's just sort of, it's like smoking, addictive sort of thing.
Do you think Nintendo's ripping you off?
Not at all.
You don't? Yeah, but what about $5 for a pack of cards with only 11 in it?
Oh, well, that's a bit of a rip-off. I reckon there should be more cards in the pack. But some of the cards, like, you might get a really, really rare one. That's worth, say, $20, so there's your money back, if you want to sell it.
What's the most expensive card you've seen?
Charizard, I've seen it for $100, but now it's only $70.
I just brought out my Mewtwo, so now I'm going to use my psychic ability again.
And the next craze is... more Pokemon.
Fire Blast!
This month, Nintendo will launch a new 3D game called Pokemon Stadium, to be played on its popular Nintendo 64 console.
Yeah, it's because he's accurate.
Brian Hartman is Nintendo's chief test pilot, so to speak.
We're down to one Pokemon aside.
So now the kids are playing the little game machine like this, and in essence you're taking that and moving it up onto the big screen.
Absolutely.
For Pokemon.
For Pokemon. So you can still battle, you can still, train your Pokemon, you can still play with all of your Pokemon and battle with them.
And later in the year come 2 new Game Boy games with more Pokemon characters, which of course means a whole new batch of trading cards. Those new games were launched recently in Japan. And how many have you sold in Japan?
Japan, the first day it came out, sold nearly 2 million copies.
2 million of these little cartridges?
2 million of these little cartridges.
On the first day?
On the first day.
2 million on the first day, at $50 each?
About that.
That's $100 million on the first day.
And actually, It's on schedule right now by the end of March to sell more than 8 million copies.
Your goal is to maximize the profits that you can make out of kids.
Maximizing profits, that is a goal. Our goal is long-term to have a franchise and a brand that they love and we can work with and build a strong foundation for our company for many years to come.
Do you reckon you'll usurp Mickey Mouse over time?
If we're lucky and if we do it right, we would love to manage Pikachu and the rest of the characters to be a better than Disney-esque franchise, and that is our goal.
Alright guys, so that's the news segment I was talking about, and I really think this is a really cool piece of footage that I found on the internet. It was just crazy, I found it out of nowhere really. I was just checking up nostalgic stuff about Pokemon. I come across this Australian news report on 60 Minutes, and I thought I have to do a reaction video and just talk about it. It's pretty crazy what she just finished with there, because she's talking about this 20 years ago, like they wanted to expand the company. And back in school, a lot of people that were getting over Pokemon think, oh, it's just going to be, everyone's over it now, it's not going to be a big thing, it'll eventually run out. And here it is 20 years later. The Pokemon company and Game Freak is still pumping out games, they're still pumping out Pokemon cards, they're still making Pokemon, they're still doing all sorts of shit. 20 years later and it's still a massive powerhouse of a franchise. So I find this really interesting, guys. I had to talk about it today with you guys because I feel it's just a blast from the past. And yeah, guys. So yeah, let me know in the comments, guys. What was your first experience with Pokemon? What got you into it? I don't care how old you are, just let me know in the comments. I want to hear everyone's stories now. Get talking down in the comments. Let me know, because I want to hear it. I want to hear what your first experience was. And that is the Sunday session done, guys. I'm pretty sure we're done with this, and I'm going to leave it there with you. So for all you collectors out there, keep on collecting, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, Collector Tyrant out.
Can I read?